Good morning, everyone. This is Nikachu, Merfolk Master, and we are here again for another day of Coffee and MTG. Let's keep the conversation going. You got questions? Well, I've got answers, and we can do a beautiful deck list review. There's a lot to talk about in Magic the Gathering lately. There's going to be a big shakeup coming up soon because there's a BNR announcement coming up on Monday. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about everything that you think what do you think is going to happen? What's possible? Do you think there's going to be an unbanning? We have a lot of things to talk about today. So we're all quarantined. We all have to keep each other company. So let us have and enjoy another great cup of coffee on another day of Coffee and MTG, wherever you are in this world. Whether it's the morning, the afternoon, or evening, brew yourself up a cup of magic. And as usual, we're going to do Q&A for the first 30 minutes of this show, and then at the end, for the last 30 minutes, we're going to do deck list review. And of course, if you want to be part of the Coffee and MTG live show, you better come out here at twitch.tv/Nikachu MTG. We do this Mondays to Fridays, 11 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time, as is the schedule right now. I think I'm going to be changing the time slot soon, but for now, I'm not changing anything. It's just, it is what it is. So if anyone is there. Oh, we do got someone here. Oh, Dexter Johnson. Good morning, stream team. Of course. Good morning, Dexter Johnson. What would a Coffee and MTG be without Dexter Johnson? Or the pessimist scientist? Of course. Everyone's basically here like they're giving their attendance to the class. Good morning, Kyoka620. Good morning, pessimist scientist. Yeah, there's a lot of wild rumors going on. Like when it comes to the new BNR announcement that's coming out this Monday, like really big paranoid stuff. Both Birthing Pod and Splinter Twin are skyrocketing in place online. They're like the price of these cards are going straight up. People are anticipating some unbans, and people weren't really anticipating an unban for Birthing Pod until someone and a few other this is, as far as I'm concerned, this is all rumor. But apparently in the Magic the Gathering Online beta, which I don't know how you get access to that, but some people have access to that, Birthing Pod is unbanned in the beta, and a few other people verified this. Now, whatever, they verified it in some Discord that I'm not a part of, but the point is that maybe there's some chance that Birthing Pod gets unbanned. I think that it would be a catastrophe. I'm curious to know what will happen if Birthing Pod gets unbanned, but I do believe that it will be an absolute catastrophe. So good morning, Clever Boy. Good morning, Shock Onion from Taiwan. Yes, love Taiwan. Would you expect to be changed in Modern? So I'm going to have another video that I'm going to make today about this, but the long story short is I have not a damn clue what they're going to do. I don't feel strongly about anything. Of course, there are so many different ways that you could change Modern. You could ban Veil of Summer. Even the difference between Arkham's Astrolabe and Uro, it's a really tough call. On one hand, I don't think it's time for Astrolabe to go, because it was really Uro that put all the pressure, put the snow control decks to the forefront. Before Uro was printed, we had Stoneblade decks, we had Blue-White control decks, and the only deck that was really utilizing Arkham's Astrolabe was the Urza decks. So it was really that Uro was the real problem, and Uro is really pushing the control decks and basically Uro has made Bant control and Sultai control and pushed most of the other control decks out of the way. Any of the other variations don't exist. And I'll give a shout out to Blue Moon, which actually does have results in today's Modern metagame, so that still exists. But it looks like Uro's the problem, but Uro's the new card. Uro is a much newer card. However, it's not super new. It's been in the metagame for a few months, but I still don't know if that's something that they would want to ban. So that again puts the onus on, or puts the pressure on, something like Arkham's Astrolabe. They of course also could pay attention to other cards, Dredge has gotten just significantly more powerful over the printing of one of the creatures that enter the battlefield because they gain life. And also Eldrazi is still really big right now, and you look over the last year, there's no artifact strategies, there's nothing. So maybe it's time that they target Karn the Great Creator and really bring Eldrazi back down to size. It wasn't until Karn the Great Creator that Eldrazi really had a strong presence in the Modern metagame and was really dominating since then. So it's very interesting what's going to happen. Very interesting. A lot of different things could happen in this next BNR announcement. Love to hear what everyone else's opinion is on this matter. I'm gonna have a much more detailed video coming out later this evening. Good morning, Zadiras. Good morning, Mikey J, Lord Magicus, Kyle Nano, Cleverboy31. Where do you suggest for players to test their decks? I tried doing it in leagues and it gets expensive. Yes, it does. I had to use my actual deck to grind. Back tickets. All right. Well, so first off, at a competitive level, think of it this way: you have to pay. There's two ways to look at it. In general, I am paying for the experience. I mean, that's just how it is. Yeah, it can get experience. Like I've told people, it's expensive to brew. That's why we don't see that much in Modern. It's expensive to, and if you don't have a sponsorship, it's expensive to buy and then sell cards to test ideas. It's very expensive. That's why there's not as much creativity in Modern as there should be. There's probably like 40 more decks in Modern that are possible, but they just don't exist because the cost to even try it out and test and tune and bring it to a competitive level is so expensive that most people don't even try. Basically, you have to get lucky to test a new idea and it's like really good immediately that you would want to pursue it any further. But the alternative to playing in leagues, if you want to try a new deck, is just play in the tournament practice room. You can play for free on Magic the Gathering Online. There is a tournament practice room where you can play against other people for free, best of 3 games. That would be your best bet, but you're going to get what you pay for. Those players are there because they are in a similar state as everyone else in that they can't go infinite or it's too expensive for them to play for real money. So you're going to get a completely different quality of both metagame and skill level of players. But at the very least, it will be good for you to play test a new deck. Especially if you have a new deck, you don't have to throw yourself in the leagues. If you want to just learn the reps to this deck, go in the tournament practice room. So you learn the best sequence of playing your land drops, best way to deploy your creatures, etc. I mean, in essence, you could play against a brick wall, but you might as well play it in the tournament practice room. I think that would be your best bet. So thanks for asking. I hope that's valuable to you. I hope that's helpful. And with that, let's take a delicious sip of coffee. We've got to enjoy our coffee. Thanks to everyone who supports the show, who shows up every single day, offering questions, keeping the conversation going. Oh, we have a great time every single morning. Sorry I couldn't be here yesterday. I had an exam. For anyone who follows me on Twitter and Facebook, you got the warning. Or if I also said in the live streams, but I don't think everyone got the message. Delicious, delicious coffee. Modern, never stop changing. That's right. Modern's always on a roll. So pessimist sign. We're talking a little bit about the BNR announcement that's coming out this Monday, and a lot of people are in this spot. Pessimist scientists nominate Uro or Astrolabe, but which one? Or do they go for both? Well, do they go for both? I think this is going to be the BNR announcement of the year. I think this is going to be a big BNR announcement. It's going to be really changing to Modern, and I think it's really going to be changing to Pioneer. Although I think Pioneer needs it. It needed it when the Pro Tour happened, and there were all these Inverter and Lotus Breach decks all over the place that more or less dismantled the format, just sucked away half of the metagame. Whereas with Modern is, as much as people complain, Modern is in a good spot right now. It is, I mean, you could say certain decks are a little too strong. That's fine. But there was 140 people who showed up to the Modern Challenge last Saturday, and the tournaments are filling up and the leagues are vibrant. So Modern is in an okay spot. You could use correction, but it's not in dire straits like Pioneer is, where they needed to ban something from Inverter and something from the Lotus Breach deck a long time ago so that everyone who bought their deck in Pioneer could play it, because I think a lot of people felt like they got banned out of the format when they decided, okay, we're just going to let Inverter and Lotus Breach and all this other garbage just suck up the metagame. So I think this is going to be a big BNR announcement coming up. It's going to be really exciting. It's definitely going to be the announcement of the year. Chubby Meatball says ban Astrolabe now. Well, they're using the salute emote. I gotta get the Chubby Meatball emote. I'm gonna be working on it. Gonna work on the Chubby Meatball emote. I don't think Uro is that bad. And you know what? I think a lot of people would be in your spot. And I think also, Dexter, that a lot of people would just say Uro would be more fair if they ban Astrolabe, because all of a sudden, because Uro actually has a real cost to it. It's double green, double blue. That will put a big, if you want to go banned, it's going to be really hard. It's really hard to play Bant and play Cryptic Command and all this other crap and still use your Snow Basics. So you get really cramped really quickly on your mana base if you ban the Astrolabe, let Uro stay. Uro is only so dangerous and so easy to cast along with your white spells or your black spells, along with your blue spells, because of Astrolabe. So Uro might be way more balanced in an Astrolabe-less metagame. Clever Boy says, turn 3 Teferi. As Burn, I can fight Uro deck still as long as turn 3 Teferi is not there. Interesting thing. Although I think it's possible that they're going to ban Teferi in other formats, but I don't think it's ever going to get... I don't think it's close to getting banned in Modern. It's just a very annoying card, but not a back-breaking card. Although I'd love to hear from anybody to say if Teferi actually shuts down their entire game plan. Like they just snap lose when Teferi hits the battlefield. For the most part, I think people can fight Teferi, and it's just an incredibly annoying card, but not necessarily like incredibly backbreak. I think a lot of people can fight through Teferi. Good morning, Niels Nielsen. Zadira says, what do you think is the correct amount of Horizon lands to run in a 2-color deck that runs 22 lands? I'm also going to be running another sack land in the form of 2 to 3 Haven of the Spirit Dragon. I think you can go with 4. I think 4 is a pretty healthy number. And I would say, okay, I'll put it with this. I think in general you can go 4 if you have a deck with 22 lands. The more aggressive your deck is, the more Horizon lands you should be. And the slower your deck is, like, if you plan for the game, so this is a really great theoretical thing we could talk about Horizon lands. The shorter the game is, or the shorter the games go, the more Horizon lands you should play, because you don't take as much damage from these lands because the games don't go that long. Whereas you look at like a control deck, they don't play any Horizon lands because they plan on the game going to like turn 10, turn 15. And if they keep tapping that land for mana, they're going to keep taking damage. So if the deck that you play goes really long, if the games go really long, you should be playing with less or no Horizon lands. That's why we see the combo decks like Devoted Devastation play with 4, and we see like Humans play with 4 Horizon lands. And basically any deck that's playing a really short game, they want to max out on the Horizon lands. And the decks that want to play a really long game, they want to minimize. They don't either want to play very few or no Horizon lands. And I've been like in the mix in Merfolk. I can feel sometimes, okay, if I'm playing an aggressive version of Merfolk, I want to max out on the Horizon lands, even at 20 lands. But if I'm playing a more mid-range version of Merfolk, a deck that's going to play longer, go into the long game, I want to play with less Horizon lands. And I've gone down as far as 3 to 2, because if I'm playing, say, mono blue Merfolk, which is not winning by turn 4, turn 5 on a regular basis, I'm going to take so much damage from my own mana, it's not worth it, so I should go down on those lands. So I hope that was valuable. I think at 22, you'd be pretty safe at playing 4, but I don't know exactly the deck list that you're running, but I hope that was valuable, Zadiris. Good morning, P. Diddy. Getting a Slurpee today? No, it's cold outside, actually. It's windy and cold, so today is a good day for a nice, warm, hot coffee. So, hello, hot coffee. I don't know. If it gets hot out later, I'll definitely go get the Slurpee. I have some time today. I can't wait to go get Slurpee. It's Slurpee season for me, you know? I usually drink less coffee and more Slurpee. We're going to change. I might change this to Slurpee and MTG. Oh, salute. Is everyone here, salute? Look what you brought me, Salute. Look what Salute hunted. He hunt the mouse. You hunt the mouse, Salute? You're hunting the mouse? Oh, he likes to hunt the mouse, and then he makes the howling sound, and then after that he wants to get pet. He wants some attention for his good deed of hunting the mouse, bringing me a gift. You brought me a gift. He brings me this gift 6 times a day, but it's his way of getting some attention. You do a good job, Salute. Doing a good job. Keep it up. Keep it up, Salute. So then there's Lord Magicus, who says, we could just ban everything for a year. Just like 2019 to 2020 is banned. Good morning, Ethan back. Can we get Creeping Chill banned? That's up to 24 life points difference for 0 mana. I would be in the boat for that. I don't know if Wizards would be in the boat for something like that. This is a weird card to ban. And it's definitely a card. I mean, when they ban this, they're just saying, you know what, we just want to water down Dredge a little bit, make it a little bit more fair. I would be in for that. And I think it would make Dredge like just much more fair. Like even a deck like Merfolk could now reasonably race Dredge because I don't have to worry about like dying to a counterattack. The hardest thing about beating Dredge right now, even as a Merfolk player, is that my opponent's now at like an arbitrarily high life total, and mine's really low to start the game off. And so there is such a high risk to attacking into the Dredge player because they can just attack back for victory. Whereas if we both start at 20 life points and they lose some life points from their fetches and shocks, there is a lot of room for me to ignore their attacks because I have the life points to spare, but not if I start at 14. Not if I start at 14. Niels Nielsen, do you think there is room for home brewing in Modern and still be competitive? Yes, absolutely. I think there's a lot of room for home brewing. I think a lot of people have proposed deck lists on this morning show, which could turn competitive if anyone wanted to tune it and take the time to turn it into a competitive deck. Let me just quickly browse like MTG top 8 for any deck lists. Like, let's not forget Eldrazi Tron was basically like a brew, you know? Like that came out of nowhere. There was always Eldrazi, but there was never Eldrazi Tron. And Eldrazi Tron then basically became an archetype. What else? Humans basically was a brew, you know, by Magic Aids. Now, there were other Humans decks around, but no one tried to play a 5-color Vial deck as janky as he did. And it just turned out the jank was good. And then competitive players said, hey, do you know what? Maybe there's something to it. And then they tuned it to a competitive level. What else? What else was like nothing and then became something? Elementals might become something. I don't know where the elemental idea came from, but it already has a. We interviewed the Elementals master, Tribal Master last week, and he made a top 8 in the Modern Challenge just this last week. Last Saturday, he top 8'd. So Elementals definitely is possible. What else could be a thing? Just trying to look. Dredge, Valakut, Infect. I think the Neoform combo was a brew that was just missing a piece. Like the idea was there, and then when Neoform was printed, it was like, okay, we got it. We got the last piece. So that also was a deck that, by the way, there's a lot of deck ideas that are good, and then they're like, you know, this deck has something to it. We're just missing one more piece of the puzzle to take it over to the top to make it really competitive. And I think like Neobrand was one of those decks where they had, when Eldritch Evolution came out, they had here, let's get Eldritch Evolution. Now, I hope I'm not BSing here, but I believe that Neobrand was already a deck in construction through Eldritch Evolution, but it was just inconsistent because they had only this one combo card to help find, you know, turn your Allosaurus Rider into a Grizzlebrand. But when Neoform got printed, boom! Now all of a sudden, oh, we've got all the pieces now. Now we have what we need in order to win the game. So from here, that's when I think the real birth of Neobrand was formed. So I think there's a lot of room to brew at home like Magic decks, but it's just hard to, either you're missing a piece or you have to work hard and spend a lot of time actually making it competitive. Costa 98, good morning. Gills to pay the bills. Good morning. So what do you think is going to get banned or unbanned? I don't know. I really have no idea. So it's a little bit easier to predict the range of cards that might get banned, and it's impossible to predict what they're going to unban. I think if there was I think, okay, I'm not sure about this, but I think when Wizards is now going for a big banning, when they're going to shake everything up hard, I think they're incentivized to unban something so that it absorbs the shock. All right, we're banning all these cards, but do you know what? We're going to give you this card, and we're going to make Modern we're going to make the format really exciting. So if there was a time to ban something, or sorry, if there was a time to unban something, if they're going to have like heavy hitting bans, like we saw with Hogak and Faithless looting, and then later Mox Opal, they would want to unban something like Stoneforge Mystic. Sorry, like they unbanned Stoneforge Mystic, but in any case, I think it's possible they could unban something right now. But those are so hard to predict because they just arbitrarily do it whenever the hell they want. Tuxdev would go with the Astrolabe over the Uro versus Astrolabe debate. The Christmas gift. Watched a bit of your Bant MF list. Oh yeah, Merfolk list. Looks nice. Have you considered making a video about what color combination of Merfolk is good at what and in which metagame you would prefer which? So basically, I mean, to be brutally honest, you have basically two choices. You've got Simic and you got Mono Blue. And Simic is going to be good generally when Master of Waves is very bad for one reason or another. Like there's a lot of Plague Engineers, there's a lot of removal for him, or there's no good matchups for Master of Waves. Like Burn is not prevalent, Prowess is not prevalent. I would say Shadow decks are not nearly as prevalent. And also you need to win quickly. So like you're in a lot of Tron matchups or Neoform or Ad Nauseam or Humans. So in matchups where you need to race and be fast, you got to go with the Simic. Now, Mono Blue is just better when you want to play a much more slower, patient game. You're in no rush. You want to grind out attrition-based decks. You have there's a lot of options to do it. And where Master of Waves is like really, really strong, well-positioned. We saw a little bit of that in the fall or over the winter as well. Or sorry, maybe the spring. I don't know. I played Master of Waves recently to some good success. But in general, those are the two options. Now, I had like really good games with blue-red, but my problem with blue-red is that Bolt is really crappy against Eldrazi-Tron, and Eldrazi-Tron is like just one of the best decks right now. So either they put Chalice on one, which destroys it, or the creatures don't care about Bolt. Like Matter Reshaper doesn't really care because they get value anyway. Thought-Knot Seer doesn't care. Reality Smasher doesn't care. So against that particular deck, it's really bad. It's super terrible. And I wouldn't even say Bolt is that great against the control decks because of Uro gaining life. 3 damage is not really that worthwhile. It's not high impact as it would be against just a pure blue-white deck, blue-black or blue-red, for example. So bolting your opponent's face isn't as valuable. So I would put it on the radar, but still work in development. I do like the idea of having something that can go at my opponent's face to help close out some games. But in general, it's basically Simic versus Mono Blue. The Arcade Hero. I've been playing Arena nonstop since its arrival on Mac, working on a tropical list for Historic. Which green folk, besides Kamena Speaker, do you think should definitely be in the deck? Merfolk Mistbinder. Okay, so if anyone's new to the Merfolk Mistbinder. So if anyone's new to Historic Merfolk, you definitely have to have this. This is one of your lords, so this is one of your babies here. And it's about like that pumps up your team, attacks for a lot of damage. So a lot of your turn 4 kills are going to come from Merfolk Mistbinder. You absolutely have to have Merfolk Mistbinder. Like when you're trying to race certain control decks or those field decks, this is one of your routes to victory. You have Merfolk Mistbinder. Now, I don't know if this is always positioned, but Kumena, Tyrant of Araska, is definitely something you want to have in your toolbox. Kumena is good for a lot of reasons. One of them being a really good blocker and a pretty good way of grinding value if you need to in the long run, and also creates an army that can also block against a lot of other big creatures. The 3 abilities, Kumena can be unblockable. You can draw a card, or you can make all your creatures get get a +1/+1 counter. And so what I've done with Kumena is I've used Kumena to get through damage near the end of the game, which could be valuable right now against the field decks. You can also use Kumena to draw cards, and even against an aggressive deck with big creatures, you could put a creature in front of it, basically sacrificing it to save damage, but then you tap 3 Merfolk, draw a card, and replace that creature every single turn. And that helps prolong the game to a point where maybe you have enough creatures on the battlefield, you start pumping them up to very large amounts. Because if you tap 5 Merfolk, they all get +1/+1 counters on them. And that also puts your opponent in a difficult spot if you have enough Merfolk in play, because if they attack into you, you can make a gang block, tap all the Merfolk, they get the +1/+1 counters, and then maybe it's only a 1-for-1 trade instead of a 2-for-1 like they were hoping. So Command is also something you'd want to have on your radar. I played a little bit of this, but I heard I heard some feedback that maybe it's a bit overrated. That's fine, but Swift Warden is also a potential card. This is definitely not a must include, but the fact that Swift Warden has flash, can protect a creature versus removal, I think is just something to keep on your radar, but not mandatory. Hope that helps, and good luck with Tropical Merfolk and Historic. M5, I could not catch the live stream, and I wondered what happened to the gameplay yesterday. Thanks for clarifying. I had an exam, and that exam was exactly at the time of my live stream. So if you want to get notified about what's going, if there's any cancellations, make sure you follow me on Twitter and Facebook at Nikachu MTG. I will always give you like last minute updates or whatever. But I also said in my streams on Monday and Tuesday, maybe not everyone caught it, that the stream was basically going to be canceled for Wednesday because of my exam. Quantum Bird, we are still in Q&A right now, so just submit your deck lists. Everyone submit your deck lists when we get to the deck list portion. Right now, we're still in Q&A. And we are having great questions. Really good discussion to start this morning off. Really good discussion. There's a lot of questions here. Have you seen the new mono red burn list with Incinerator? I mean, I've seen some lists. I don't know if I've seen the new standard for what modern burn is. But I have seen Incinerator lists, but I don't know if they're successful yet. I just know they're out there. The Christmas gift. So Astrolabe and Faithless Looting and Uro. So Astrolabe is the Faithless Looting and Uro is the Hogak of this age. The later is already OP, but gets turned up to 11 by the format. So maybe we're gonna have to wait and see if they ban both of them at once. Guilds to pay the bills. Are you still using your foil Japanese Merfolk deck, or have you been switching off to non-foil? I have been switching off to non-foil since Modern Horizons, because once foiling out a mono blue deck, that's easy. Foiling out every color variation, that's a lot harder. And the fact that I am spending more time on YouTube and less on paper play actually disincentivized me to like keeping up with the foil cards. There's some chance I could get back to it if I have like unlimited money, but at the moment I've actually gone non-foil, to be honest. Because like once the Horizon lands came out, okay, so do I get all the blue-red foils, and I get the Waterlog Grows? Do I get the Fiery Islet? Do I also get Collector Oofs in foil? Like all of a sudden the toolbox exploded, and I didn't know what direction Merfolk was going to go. So I've decided, okay, we got to slow down with the foils and just go non-foil. Franco Luz, welcome live. And if you have any questions, well, it's a little late to submit questions, but remember, give me an at Nikachu MTG, or you can also 3 question marks before the question, 3 question marks afterwards. Helps get my attention as I sift through all these questions. See, Mikey J knows how to do it with the at Nikachu MTG. Would Modern be different if Thought-Knot had a color requirement or just had 3 toughness? Oh, it'd be very different at 3 toughness, because Bolt could kill it. So that would be a complete game changer. Thought-Knot probably would definitely still see play, but or do I know that? I don't know that anymore. That's a good question, but Modern would most definitely be different. Like the Eldrazi decks might not have been as dominant as they were in the age that they were when they first came out, and still they would be a lot weaker now. If you made it, if you gave like, if you made Thought Knot Seer have blue, like we would definitely not have Eldrazi Tron today. It would have to be like Bant Eldrazi or something like that, and that deck doesn't really see play. But maybe it doesn't see play because Eldrazi Tron is like just a superior Eldrazi deck. And if you have a choice between Bant Eldrazi or Eldrazi Tron, it's just clearly you got to play Eldrazi Tron. Oh, everyone bring out the salute emotes. What do you think of the best of one hand smoother on Arena? I think it's great. I think the digital platform should take advantage of these things. I think the downside is not very high. I mean, some people claim that you can manipulate your deck so that you always have like good hands, but I think for the most part, I really like the hand smoother. Whatever makes a better gameplay experience. It doesn't need to. I don't think you need gameplay to be so raw and authentic. It's like so long as like this hand smoother is being fair on both sides, which I reasonably believe it is, it's okay. So I do like how they're taking advantage of something like that in digital form. Yes, the mighty hunter, salute. Everyone claims you're a hunter. Here. And now that he's done hunting, he is laying down on my laptop with a swollen battery, staring at the wall. He really likes staring at the wall these days. What are you doing, Salute? Are you going to hunt? You leaving? What are you doing? Where are you going? Where do you think you're going? Whatever. Salute will do Salute things. What is the worst card in Modern against Merfolk? You mean like the one I hate the most? I mean, it has to be Ensnaring Bridge. I mean, fuck that card. Fuck Ensnaring Bridge. That is a stupid, stupid card. And it's just bad for Merfolk because we have like really bad tools to beat it. I mean, sure, you can bounce it, but like bouncing anything is pointless against any other deck. The only deck that we want to bounce something is any deck playing Ensnaring Bridge. the wholesome Nikachu moments we subscribe for, yes. JK Torborg, good morning. No deck list yet, but I've been experimenting with the Primal Surge Spell Shift combo splashed into humans and considering Merfolk. Although the Merfolk adventures suck a lot, do you think there's room in Merfolk for 2 to 6 cards incidental combo splashing Brazen Borrower that dive down adventure? I don't know. I think it'd probably be a bit clunky. There are some combos that you can play in Merfolk, and I think that one would just be a little bit too clunky, and it would not be synergetic with the normal Merfolk plan. Like the best combos are the ones that sort of work together with what you're already doing. And like Merfolk is like an Ether Vial deck, and if you want to probably play that combo, you probably have to take out Ether Vial so you have enough mana to cast your combo pieces. I just don't think it's just going to work out very well. Dexter Johnson says, I hate Mystic Sanctuary, but it's not ban-worthy. Well, that's up for debate because a lot of people are actually calling for this thing to be banned. I think we also want cards I think we also want cards we dislike to be banned. I think that's very true. A lot of people just call out the cards that they hate to be banned, but are not actually thinking like, does this really need to be banned? Like the Teferi thing. Everyone thinks, oh, Teferi should be banned. It's just a fucking annoying card. But it's not like ruining Magic. It's just it's really frustrating card. But like everyone can beat it. Like it does not protect itself very well at all. It dies to a brisk breeze. But if I had to pick one card to go, it would be Astrolabe. But I don't necessarily have my hands on the data that Wizards does either. Yeah, I know we don't, and to some extent, I think what Wizards is just winging it at this point. I actually think the community has a very large influence over what gets banned. But going back to Mystic Sanctuary, a lot of people think that this should be banned. Now, I don't know if this is the card, but I mean, this is what creates those stupid cryptic loops. Not sure how it affects all decks, because in some ways it can be effectively a win. Like if you have Jace the Mind, if you have any way to draw a card every single turn, maybe with Uro or Jace the Mind Sculptor or Hero of Dominaria Teferi, you can basically put it the cryptic, bounce Sanctuary back to your hand, play it, then draw a card every single turn. Your opponent's done for. Is that what goes? I don't know. I don't know if that's what goes. Oh, Mr. Yogg subscribed. Thank you very much, Mr. Yogg. Mr. Yogg subscribed. I got the branding for you. Thank you very much for your subscription. Remember, if you find this valuable every single morning, consider subscribing, supporting the channel. If you want to be part of this discussion, and well, I mean, you can be part of this discussion for free. But if you enjoy seeing this content every single morning, thank you very much for the subscription, supporting the show. Awesome. Where's my Coffee and MTG thing? And so I will get back to the questions. And with that subscription, that's worth a coffee. Thank you, Mr. Yogg. Delicious coffee. Delicious feet. Salute has over there, licking his feet. Lick all the pee off your feet. There's a lot of pee on your feet. There's always pee on his feet. You're welcome, Zadiris. The discussion on Horizon. That's a good discussion to have with the Horizon lands, and for anyone who's brewing with Horizon lands. You just can't jam those Horizon lands in anything. Whitman, do you think Splinter Twin will be unbanned? If so, do you think it could climb to be at least a tier 2 deck in today's meta? I think at the very least, Twin would be like at least tier 2, maybe still tier 1. It's hard to tell what it would do. I think I don't think it's going to get unbanned. Here's my big stance on Splinter Twin. I don't think the format needs it, but I don't think it will get hurt too much by it. I think we do have the answers. So it's just I don't know, a neutral thing. Because Splinter Twin will certainly hurt some decks, because some decks just cannot deal with this stupid creature combo crap, but it will probably help some other decks. Like, for example, I think Death Shadow is just going to eat this thing up for breakfast. So we might see a bit of a rise in Death Shadow and decline in maybe some other archetypes that don't deal so well with a creature combo deck, a creature control combo deck. Tuxdev says, with elementals, they pushed the tribe really hard last core set, well, so why not try and make it work? Yeah, and it already has, and also they're trying to push it into Modern Horizons, so absolutely. Is Veil of Summer a good sideboard card for Simic? Simic Merfolk? Well, I mean, I've not been the person piloting it, but Draconar, who has several 5/0s with Veil of Summer, would say, yeah, it's a good card in the Simic Merfolk deck. So definitely playable. And actually, I can concur. Usually I don't have trouble against the attrition-based decks like Death Shadow or Jund, but actually maybe we need a little something more, because this Lurrus Jund deck is bullshit. So this is a new Jund deck that's coming out, and I think is going to pave the way for what Jund is going to look like in the future. And Veil of Summer might be our route to fighting it. Okay, I think with that, it's time to get into deck list review. So I'm going to look for the deck lists. And Simon MG already says, I have this budget infect list and I want to upgrade it. Should I get a playset of Noble or get a better mana base? Let's go see what you're all about, Simon. Love to look at it. So I haven't seen the list yet, but... Budget infect. Budget. Simon, what are you doing? So you said, I have this budget infect list and I want to upgrade it. Should I get a playset of Noble or get a better mana base? So what I would get, so you've got Glistener Elf, Blighted Agent, Ecor, Claw Mirror, Spellskite. I do not believe that you should get Noble Hierarch. I actually think you should get a better mana base. If you are split between the two, I would get the better mana base. Mana base will make all these cards a little bit more consistent. But not only that, I would really invest in the Inkmoth Nexus. Inkmoth Nexus, I think, is this half the reason that this deck is so strong, because it's one of your more resistant cards against a lot of removal, against a lot of sorcery speed effects. Whereas this stuff dies to all sorts of sorceries and stuff like that. So I think, at least from what I hear from the infect community, they say you can live pretty easily off of Birds of Paradise if you really needed to. There's a lot of good substitutes if you really want mana ramp, but it's not even that necessary. But I would invest in I personally would invest in a better mana base if you were trying to choose between the two. I would love to hear if anyone has any yeah, you win your games by actually being able to cast your stuff, and definitely would go for the 4 Inkmoth Nexuses. If there's anyone else who's in the what's it called, who plays Infect, would love to hear what they have to say. Maybe they have a little bit more experience, but this is a really shaky mana base, like 7 Island, 13 Forest. Like, this is, I'll just straight up say, this is a bad mana base. This is terrible. I would not, you would look really silly having this mana base and 4 Noble Hierarchs in your deck. I think it would look ridiculous. So I think it better invest in a better mana base, which I understand is the most expensive part of this deck by a large margin. But I think that would be the highest EV move to make your deck more consistent. But also, if you get the Inkmoth Nexuses, if you get Inkmoth Nexus, which is, I mean, basically one of the core win conditions. Okay, what's going on here? So you got Inkmoth Nexus. This is like one of your best win conditions in this deck. It dodges like a lot of removal, and it also is a threat while still developing your mana base. Because, I mean, not everything, but there's some parts of your mana base that can use colorless mana, like Dismember, the Ichor Claw Mirror, the Blighted Agent, Spellskite. So absolutely, I would definitely get the mana base going, and ideally get your Inkmoth Nexuses if you can. And if you can't get the Inkmoth Nexuses, I would still go for the mana base. Just make it more consistent. You're gonna get, like, if you buy Noble Hierarch, you can get these hands with like islands and Noble Hierarch, and you just can't even cast them. So like, what's even the point, you know? What's even the point? So I think it's a pretty clear consensus. Get the lands. Thanks for asking, and I hope you can beat some people up with this budget Infect deck. You have a really nice list here to slowly upgrade into the full thing. I'm glad you can actually play like a decent modern deck on a budget and still move up. Awesome stuff. All right, so where are we going here? Where are the deck list submissions? Everyone waits for deck list mode. Okay, here we go. Magic 0722. Do you think Kroxa is better than Lingering Souls nowadays? Well, I mean, those are two very different cards. I'm thinking of adding more black sources for another Tide Hallow Sculler and replacing Souls with Kroxa. What do you think? I think those are not even close to the same. They're not even in the same ballpark, but let's go check it out. All right, so you've got some sort of Mardu deck. Okay, so we've got a Mardu deck, Lingering Souls, Angel's Grace. This is a combo deck. Chance for Glory. Creatures you control gain indestructible. Take an extra turn after this one. At the beginning of that turn's end step, you lose the game. That's high risk, high reward. Fire Prophecy, Fists of Flame, Kaya, Culligan's Command. So it looks like it's just a bunch of random stuff in here. Repeated Reverberation. Whenever you cast an instant spell, cast a sorcery spell, or activate a loyalty ability this turn, copy that spell or ability twice. You may choose new targets for the copies. That seems very difficult to cast. Fervent Champion, Grim Lava Mantra, Ranger of Eos. All right, so we seem to have like a pretty decent deck over here. You got Batterskull, and actually I think this is going to be a good Stoneforge Mystic deck. I mean, if you have the best Stoneforge Mystic decks are the ones with removal, so you can clear the way for your Batterskull. The bad Stoneforge Mystic decks are the ones that can't clearly clear the way for your Batterskull or your swords or anything like that. So first off, I think Lingering Souls is fine in this deck, especially if you're playing a deck with like swords, because you can equip and you get some nice unblockable damage, and you have so many tokens that you would want to utilize this. So I don't think there's anything wrong with Lingering Souls. I think there's something wrong with all this stuff. Like this is pointless. This should be just like Path to Exile or Lightning Bolt or what's it called? Like Fatal Push. I think you should have more removal here. I don't think you should have any of these cards. Like Repeated Reverberation. Like what do you want to copy with this? You want to copy Angel's Grace twice or Chance for Glory or something like that? Like that, you have all these loose one-ofs that I would just scrap, and you could replace it with Kroxa if you wanted to. That's a possibility. You probably should replace this with Kroxa, because I don't think you have the aggro deck to make this useful. I would replace this card. You have a mid-range deck, and this is an aggro card. Oh, but you want the equip abilities to that you activate that target Fervent Champion cost 3 less to activate. Okay, I see some synergy there. I would still say that this is like a pretty much a sore thumb, but okay, I understand that you actually have an idea here. It's like not a random card jammed in the deck. But yeah, I would change all this. Get rid of the repeated reverberations. I think these are just fancy cards. What do you have to trigger Manamorphose? Oh, I mean, I guess you could help fuel your Kroxa, but this doesn't look like it has like really good synergy with the deck, the Manamorphose, so that this is potentially something you could scrap. Lightning Helix, I like. Kolaghan's Command, I like. Kaya's Guile, I really like this card. This is a very underrated card. Your deck can use it. Fists of Flame, draw a card until end of turn. Target creature gains trample and +1/+0 for each card you've drawn this turn. This is probably just not as... If you want trample, just kill the thing that's in front of your creature, in my opinion. So you definitely could lose these. So I think that the weak link are like a lot of these weird odd cards. Fist of Flame, Fire Prophecy. Fire Prophecy deals 3 damage to target creature. Okay, this is fine. Chance for Glory. Like, you know why you have this as a one of? Because it's honestly not that good. If it was really good, if it won you games constantly, you'd be upping the numbers of the Chance for Glory. But really, is not that much Chance for Glory. So take out Angel's Grace, Chance for Glory, repeated Reverberation. Definitely put in more removal. Fist and Flame. So you could, like, for 1, 2, 4, 6 slots, you could add in some Kroxa and Fatal Push or Lightning Bolt or something like that. And I would take a good hard look at Manamorphose if this is really where you want to go. And I think the rest of the list is good. But I think the Lingering Souls is good. I think Lingering Souls is good in this list. It's a good card. It's good. I think it's a good card in a Stoneblade deck. I think it's a good card. I think you should stick to it. Anyway, thanks for submitting the list. I think you should play with Kroxa and Lingering Souls. I think those are 2 awesome cards. It's just hard to find a good Lingering Souls deck right now, but you could have it. You know, Lingering Souls with Stoneforge Mystic. I can buy that. I can totally buy that. So Brian Jin says, updated my Aristocrats list to make it able to ignore Graveyard Hate. Oh, that's interesting. So maybe we have an update to the Aristocrats list that we saw last time. Because the Aristocrats' big deal is that they don't do very well once the opponent like destroys their graveyard. So now we've got Cavernous Souls. That's nice if you can make it work. Blood Artist, Carrion Feeder. I like the Carrion Feeder because this is like, all right, the graveyard is toast, whatever. Okay, so if you destroy any of my creatures, I'm just going to sacrifice it to the Carrion Feeder. Cruel Celebrant, Doom Traveler, Heliod. Oh, I love it. Oh, I love it. I love it. And what do we have life gain synergy in this deck? Don't we have life gain synergy in this deck? Isn't there something like you gain life, they get screwed? I love this. I love it. This is a good idea too. Whenever Cutthroat or another creature control dies, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. So unfortunately, Heliod is not going to be as... And we can find Walking Ballista with the Ranger Captain of Eos. I fucking love this. I love this. This is what we're talking about. And it's still a proactive plan. Like, Heliod is not a bad card by any stretch of the imagination. It's too bad you didn't have like better devotion for white, because there's a lot of just like 1 white, 1 black, and stuff like that. So it'd be nicer if we could get Heliod online but I really like that we've got this Heliod plus a random Walking Ballista combo if we need it, and you can tutor for it. So it's not going to be as unreliable. I don't know what the perfect numbers are. What is Ranger of Eos? And also, what Ranger of Eos can tutor for the Walking Ballista. So I love it. I love the upgrades. That's a really cool these are really cool upgrades. I'd be really excited to hear what your results are with this when the opponents are trying to shut down your graveyard plan. Sweet upgrades, Brian. That's the direction I'm talking about. I hope that's going to do well for you in the future. I didn't even think about that. It's a really nice idea. Matt Maddox says, wondering if you think this mana base can support Cryptic consistently. This is for when my local game store opens. Not much aggro, but control, E-Tron, and Amulet Titan. For the most part, it sounds like a metagame that sucks for Cryptic, but actually, it's not that bad if Cryptic can keep everything under control. Okay, let's check this out. Matt Maddox. Oh, it's a Merfolk deck. You all know how much I love Cryptic Command and Merfolk. I've done it a million times. I'll do it a million times more. So by default, like whatever. Okay, so off the bat, yes, your mana base can support this. You've got about 4 pieces of. You have 17 blue sources of mana. Now, will you have it available by turn 4 all the time? No, but by turns 5 and 6, when you want to attack for victory and Cryptic tap down their team, you are very likely to have it available. Not to mention, sometimes you can loot into the blue mana sources with things like Benthic. Whoops, sorry. You're not. I don't see it. Okay, now you see something. So, okay, so the mana base is 2 Castle Vantress, but the most important thing is I'm just looking for the brown mana. So Cavernous Souls, 2 Mutavaults. You can't use these to cast your Cryptic commands. That means in a 21 land mana base, you only have about 17 sources to cast. You will cast it, but it won't be consistently by turn 4. It'll be more like turn 6-ish, I would expect. You do have some ways of getting there a little bit. You have ways of looting towards it with Benthic Biomancer, Silver Gill Adept. So you're not going to consistently cast it by turn 4 or anything like that. But you can cast it with this mana base. If you really want to make it more smoother, you could discard maybe 1 Cavern of Souls. But I think this mana base is fine if you want to go with this. I would be totally fine with this mana base. Not to mention, like, you have a lot of ways of actually discarding the Cryptic command if you've got like your 2 Cavernous Souls and 2 Mutavaults out, or like, I don't know, 1 Mutavault out and you only have like 1 island available. All right, force negation away your Cryptic command. Benthic Biomancer, loot away your Cryptic command. It's as easy as that. So anyway, yeah, you can definitely cast Cryptic command off this mana. I've done it many times myself. We have some great deck lists, some great improvements. I love seeing got Bother Sean in the chat. Hello, Bother Sean. Beautiful emotes. Beautiful new rebranding by Bother Sean. It's cute duck. I think I lost myself. I definitely got to take a cup of coffee after all those lists. Those are some great lists. Love it. But where did I leave off? Here we go. Okay. Manadork. I've been having really great results with this deck. Figured I'd share if you have any ideas. Well, if you're doing really good, maybe I don't, because you're doing good. But let's go check it out. Format is modern, and I see a bunch of cards I've never seen before. The Rados Dirty Boys. I think that means Rakdos. Banehound. Okay, where's Banehound? We got a reader. Okay, hold on. Can I make this a little bit bigger? Banehound. Lifelink Haste. Hey, that's pretty good. That's not too bad. Goblin Guide. So we're being aggressive here. Dreadhorde Butcher. Haste, when it deals combat damage to a player or planeswalker, +1/+1 counter on Dreadhorde Butcher. Okay, that's pretty good. and whenever it dies, it deals damage equal to its power to any target. That's really good. That's extremely strong. So, like the point is like, hey, if you want to deal with this, I still get value. It's not so free to like fatal push this damn thing. It's gonna hurt you on the way back. So there's downside. Love it. Croxa, Titan of Death's Hunger, and Lightning Skelemental, super underrated card. And I think, I think there should be more people like you, Manadork, who are trying to like make more use out of this card. This is a very powerful card for 3 mana, and it's just, and it's like, what is this? $4.80 for a playset? This is undervalued. This is very undervalued just because it doesn't see play. But this is a very powerful card in Modern. Fatal Push, Inquisition of Kozilek, 3 Lightning Bolt, 2 Thoughtseize, 4 Unearth, so making it even more terrifying. Dreadbore, 2 Kolaghan's Command, Collective Brutality, Damping Sphere. Yeah, it's really nice that a deck like this can utilize something like Ashiok, which is just an all-around good card against graveyard decks and like Titan decks and stuff like that. Damping Sphere, 3 Blood Moon. Oh, that's nice. So you have the best of like all the worlds here with like Land Hate. 3 Plague Engineer. So it's interesting. Rakdos just has like all the hate cards that you would possibly want, and 2 Kalitas, Trader of Get. I have nothing to say. I actually like the clean list. I think this list is very clean. I think you've thoughtfully plotted which removal spells you want to use. I like all the 4-ofs here. I think it's very strong. The only questionable one is Banehound. I don't know if this is like the best of all the best things that you could be doing at 1 mana. For all I know, Swift Spear could be better than Banehound, but I'll just trust that you're making this thing work. So if you have good results, I'd love to see some 5-0s from you one day playing this thing. It definitely has potential. I mean, you're playing with a lot of heavy hitting, really strong cards, and you're to some okay. The only thing I find awkward is that you're trying to be aggro, but also these are like these. Well, okay, actually, forget it. These are all aggro cards, so this is all synergistic. This all works together. I like it. Crocs is a bit of a slow card, but still is very painful for any deck to face. Doesn't matter what. It's beautiful. Anyway, I really like the list. I like the list, Manadork. Thanks for sharing. It's cool stuff. What's very interesting when we started these deck list reviews is just how many brews are out there, and any of this stuff could like turn into a real deck in Modern. If someone wants to like say, hey, do you know what? This is pretty cool, and you know what? It beats all these decks that I'm losing to right now. How about we like adopt this thing? And yeah, anything has potential. Cinnamon period OT. Do you think this deck is playable in the meta? It's meant to be semi-budget, and I want to play it, but I don't know if it's any good against the meta. All right, let's check. Mind you, like the meta is probably going to take a big change soon, because we're about to face some serious bannings. So I'm gonna look at this deck as if the meta is not going to change, which is unlikely, but basically you have to stand the test of time against what's it called? Things like Snow Control and Eldrazi-tron and Burn and Prowess. Like these are the decks to beat right now. Having trouble getting the deck to load. Moxfield.com must be very busy. All right. Eldrazi taxes. But we're playing Charming Prince to blink things. And Scry and gain life. Eldrazi's Displacer, Flicker Wisp, Leonin Arbiter, 3 Guardian of Thraben, Thalia, Thought-Knot Seer, Tidehouse Sculler, Wasteland Strangler, 4 Path to Exile, 4 Ether Vial, 22 lands, all good stuff. Sideboard, Burnt Forge Tender, Fatal Push, Kaya, Kuranos Hound, 3 Plague Engineer, 3 Rest in Peace, and 2 Stony Silence. So one problem I have with this list would be Wasteland Strangler, but maybe not as much as before because of the Prowess decks probably do not like seeing this card at all. Not one bit. I talked to Eldrazi and Tron Master I played against him and he showed up in my Twitch chat. I can't remember what he said though about this deck. He said there was a problem that he can't beat. So like take that for what it's worth. Like there's something in the metagame right now that just cannot deal with. Maybe it's the Uro decks, maybe it's the control decks. I can't remember. anyone was part of that Twitch chat, I'd love to. I would love to hear if anyone can remember what Spider Space said. I'd love to hear it, but I don't remember. Like, the list is fine. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. You got a beautiful list. You have a beautiful list here. You know, this is a great list. All the numbers are great. Very well built. Is it right for the metagame? The answer is probably okay. The answer is probably just no. If the Eldrazi and Taxes Master is not playing this deck, that says something. I think that carries more weight than anything else. So it's not. This is a very good list that just probably needs to wait for the meta to make it good again. Can you play it just because you want to play it? Like, yeah, you could, but probably there's. I don't remember what his reasoning was that this deck is not positioned anymore, but it's not positioned anymore. Yeah, there's a Monster CC actually brings out a really good point. This is actually one of the hardest decks to play in Modern. It's clunky. It's 3 colors, basically. It's white, black, and colorless. And it uses Ether Vial. This is a very complicated deck to play. So it is tough. But like I said, the Eldrazi and Taxes Master, Spider Space, he's not playing it. I asked him, what's wrong? What's going on? And he gave me a reason, but I don't remember what the reason was. I'm sorry. So just take that for what it's worth. If the authority on Eldrazi and Taxes isn't playing Eldrazi and Taxes, maybe you should just follow by example. But hey, keep it like, I don't know if you own the deck or you're thinking of buying into it. Just consider the deck can come back. And by the way, it's not good in the metagame right now, but we're about to have a big shakeup. Maybe Eldrazi and Taxes can come back. Maybe you should ask this question again a month from now. But thanks for asking. All right, I think we have time for one more beautiful deck list review, if it exists. Oh, Bother Sean with all the emotes. I love the new, the beautiful emotes. Great artist. Fantastic artist. Really cute stuff. One day my emotes are going to be like this. I think I have to make them myself. Branch Walker says, do you see Bant Merfolk something for us to look into? No. No. I don't. I played a little bit more Bant Merfolk in a Modern Challenge, and I don't think this is worth looking further into. Unsettled Mariner is just like, no, sorry. You don't tax enough. You need to tax more than this. Not good enough for me. Upside, not good enough. But that's only in Bant Merfolk. Maybe Blue-White Merfolk is better, where I can better utilize Lurrus, better utilize Rest in Peace, and a bunch of other cards. But Bant Merfolk, I think, I don't really want to. Not feeling it. Madork says his Rakdos deck is a very violent deck. Could get him dead, won a bunch of games by attacking them and then killing my own butcher. Oh yeah, that's interesting. That's pretty sick tech. Do I still have your deck list up? I do not, but yeah, kill your own butcher. So what? There's a trigger that says when it dies, you can have deal damage, not to the source of the person that killed it, but basically you get to choose it. That's pretty good. Some good stuff right there. Everyone loves a good brew. That's right. Everyone loves a good brew. Okay, Quantum Bird, keeping the conversation going. And with that, we got to definitely have another delicious sip of coffee. I still got coffee. You got coffee? Oh, you ran out? Go get yourself another cup. Unless you got it from Starbucks. In that case, don't go anywhere. Unless you want to keep streaming this from your phone. All right. Baron in Legacy. Baron. This is an interesting card. I think this is going to be our last deck list that we look at today. I should have rules over where you should submit your deck list from. Like some of these sites. I mean, you know what? I mean, I'll take your list from anywhere, but some of these sites really stink. Like, this is terrible. I mean, I got tons of people send me stuff from deckstats.net, but this is rough on the eyes. I mean, look how they bring the card up. I mean, I guess, well, maybe, okay, the upside is that they give you, like, you can very clearly see the stats of the card. Look at this Eldrazi Taxes one. I think this is pretty good. Look, you get to see the whole list on one screen. This is nice. And then this. Look at the ads. Look at the ads. That's what they're trying to do. They're selling us on the ads. All right. Baron in Legacy. So we've got what looks like a Stoneblade deck. Spell Pierce, Spell Snare, Swords to Plowshares. The Stoneforge Mystic, of course. True Name Nemesis. Click. Where's the Baron? Oh, you're one Baron. So when it enters the battlefield, you can return a creature or planeswalker back to its owner's hand at the beginning of your end step. If a permanent was put into your hand from the battlefield this turn, draw a card. I actually temporarily looked at this card for maybe Merfolk because we can keep bouncing Oboro back to our hand because it's just a permanent. So you like play your Baron and then you play Oboro and then bring it back to your hand, and it's almost like a Mishra's Bauble every single turn. But I thought, this is probably a little bit too niche to make work. Although, bouncing planeswalkers is appealing, I think, in modern Merfolk, because even bouncing a Wrenn and 6 sounds good. But anyway, you only have one in here. Is one bad? Probably not. Do you have any way to abuse the bounce stuff back to your hand clause? So I mean, maybe if you have a Stoneforge Mystic out, you can bounce. Sorry, not Stoneforge Mystic. You get the where's your equipment? The Batterskull out. You can bounce it back to your hand, draw a card. So like maybe that's a relevant interaction. What do you think about it, Legacy players? I mean, it's just one Baron. It's legendary though. Keep that in mind. So hey, and especially in Legacy, you might end up finding your second Baron pretty easily with all the Brainstorms and the Ponders. Rudcook, I am still uploading to YouTube. I have to publish them like 24 to 48 hours after I've already made them. So there's going to be another one coming out today. So these still get put to YouTube. So for the most part, can one hurt? No, not really. Do you really need it over another card? If you find that you can cut one card from this deck list to make room for this thing, I think it's fine. Whatever, it's a one of, and I think a lot of people are like, I think a lot of people like to do that in Legacy anyway. They like to try out one ofs for fun to see how they work in Legacy, their own pet cards. I don't think it's a bad card necessarily. I wish there was a little bit more synergy to it, that you could like bounce more things to your hand. And I don't really. I mean, okay, there is a little bit of synergy here. You got the Caracas, so you can bounce. Oh, but I don't think you can bounce itself, because then you're not going to have the ability at the beginning of your end step. Like the ability won't be around, so you have to bounce Click and Venser. Whatever. I mean, it's a tempo card. It's not that bad. Not the end of the world. I mean, there's like advantages to playing this card. So if your opponent plays, I don't know, gets Merit Lage out or something like that, you can then untap, play Baron, Tolarian Archmage, bounce the stupid token back to their hand. Great. Problem solved. So it's not a completely useless card, even in Legacy. And I can imagine, resetting Delvers to being relatively useful as well. So that's it for today. And if you want to be part of the show, just come and check us out at twitch.tv/Nikachu MTG. We do this Mondays to Fridays, 11 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time. Got questions, we got answers, you got deck lists for review. Yeah, we can review them. You need some clarity about your list or the format. Come on down. We're all ready to help you. Me and the great wave of Nikachu fans, we're definitely here to help make the day valuable for you so that you can prosper in Magic the Gathering. So now we're going to do the traditional, what's it called? Rating of somebody on Twitch. That's how it works. You got to rate. That is the culture of Twitch. Oh, we got Bug Snow, just in case it gets banned, by Magus of the Moon. I've never what's it called, raided this person, so let's go raid Magus of the Moon. If you want to see banned snow before it's gone, something probably is gonna disappear. Oh no, I didn't switch my channel to Magic. Whatever, that's okay. Magus of the Moon. So again, thank you very much, everyone out there who joined and shared a cup of coffee with me today. We had some really good conversations. I really enjoyed everyone submitting their questions and their deck list. We had a lot of fun. And so until next time, take care, and I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for dropping by. Bye-bye.